All right, so update on the Mustang Vet chop up project. I got the car in the garage. That was a big to do with no front end on it. Kind of hard to roll. Ironically, trailer tires are the right bolt pattern for the old Fords. Came in handy. So it may look like there's not much left, but it's still kind of heavy. I'd say it's probably still 600 pounds. It wasn't the easiest to roll in here. But I have a second cowl. So this is going to be our project today. Getting this new cowl, $100 out of the junkyard, fitted to the Corvette. The windshield, I had me and my wife cut out the butyl around it with the wire and the cheap Amazon tool. That was a nightmare. That was a pain in the neck. It cracked the windshield, but whatever. Got to lift the windshield out, chop the pillars, and then start seeing what I got to cut out of this to then lay it over top. Because this is the big stakeholder in the whole project. Do the A-pillars on the Mustang fit over top of the A-pillars on the Vet? It's not a super straight shot to measure it with a tape. So, I mean, my best quick measure, it's not going to work. But if it does, cool. If not, then I'm going to be mounting the Mustang. I'm going to have to chop the Mustang at the cowl. A-pillar's gone. Leave roof, part of A-pillar, obviously. But then the doors will mount to the Vet A-pillars, and then we'll figure out the body spacing and everything else. Might have to make custom hinges, but that's a lot easier than trying to, cut out way more of the Corvette to slide that A-pillar and rocker over top. I think it's going to be better to try to bolt everything to as much of a solid Corvette as we can, just for chassis rigidity and, time to finish the thing. I don't want this thing to take more than a couple years to put together. So let me spin this thing around. I'll time lapse cutting it off and we'll see how this goes. I worked up a sweat. Let me show you what I got. So the windshield's off, and I just laid this dash on there. I haven't cut out the lower dash. You see we still got a bunch of junk under here. I don't know what that plastic drain canister is. The wiper motor is still up under there, but it's gonna give us an idea. So I can tell without a shadow of a doubt that the A-pillar here, I got it, it's not centered on the car, but got this sitting, it's a little bit inboard, trust me if you can't tell. And then this side is way inboard, so you see the A-pillar there and that A-pillar's there, so there's a discrepancy. It's probably like 2 inches, and it's got a ways to go before I can set it down. So most of that's going to be trimming this old dash. Now from the inside view, I think I've got a decent plan. Since the dash metal on the 67 was a structural piece, it doesn't need to be a structural piece on this. So I'll separate the dash metal from the cowl and the A-pillars. So the dash is going to be its own free-floating piece that I can set, adjust, and make sure work out well with our vents, our HVAC, steering column, right? Because I knew the steering column wasn't going to line up right, but if I have the dash separate and with discrepancy, I should be able to have that centered and everything look good, work copacetically. So dash will be its own separate thing to brace and support inside the car, and then the cowl will then just rest over top. At minimum, these initial cuts or just to get the cowl out of the roof out of the way on the Vet, it's gonna have to come down. This A-pillar, I know, comes to a flat piece here. So I get this plastic off. This Vet dash plastic needs to get cut away a little bit, and then the rest of this pillar needs to come off. Hopefully once I get this plastic off and this plastic cut away, I can see where the weld seam is on this, I can just go for that instead of having to saw through the whole thing yet again. But once that's gone, the A-pillar is still too narrow. That's where our engineering is going to have to come in on whether I want to make door hinges and then make an adapter seal from this cowl and roof post to that A-pillar and then mount Mustang doors to the Vette, or notch out the Vette, fill it with aluminum, weld it so the Mustang A-pillars will drop in. There's a couple challenges with that. When I was going to make the body cart for this, I can make aluminum panels with the right bolt pattern for the Mustang doors, no problem. And I can have it recessed as much as I want. I could probably use this piece. The problem is the Mustang uses door plates for the misalignment adjustment. So like when you adjust the doors, there's plates with nuts on the inside of this A-pillar that you access from inside. Those little holes, those big holes in the back, going through the Vette A-pillars, then through my concoction of mounting plate into the Mustang doors. The access isn't going to be easy or great, so I'd have to come up with a better way to bolt it if I did slip the Mustang A-pillars through. The benefit of slipping the Mustang A-pillars through is that I can then know that my body spacing is correct, right? I don't have to build it step by step. I know the body goes on and everything lines up where it's supposed to, because it never got cut apart and stayed locked in place. So gotta weigh pros and cons with all this stuff, but we're getting there. I think that's where I'm at today. An hour a day makes the anxiety go away on this kind of stuff. So I'll pick at it a little bit more throughout the week and try to keep you guys updated. All right, got all my cutting tools out. Got a bunch of cutting dust because I just cut that up. So it's sitting a little bit lower than it just was. I say just was. This cut has been about a week, weekend to weekend. I have the dash out. It's cut along the windshield line because, come to find out, that the dash is sandwiched between the upper and the lower cowl. And I'm not drilling out spot welds, separating, then re-welding for this mock-up, nor do I think I'm gonna do it on the real car either. I think I'm gonna cut it at the seam and then just build a support to hold it all, because it still has this lip here. That little bend is gonna give it some rigidity. I also don't know how it's gonna mate to that windshield line once the car is done. But now that I have this sitting a little lower, and it's a little bit of a cleaner lineup, it's really apparent that the only thing I'm gonna be able to keep is probably the exposed A-pillar. So I need to get this point here down to about that point there, based on my rough CAD lineup of where this cowl is going to have to end up in relation to the Corvette body. So we're getting there piece by piece. I want to see if I can't get some of this HVAC stuff out the way, that dash support out the way, so I can see how this sits in there. All right, so I got some of the stuff ripped out. AC ducting, definitely not going to be able to use it as it was intended. And that aluminum piece over here was the center console support. Now, nice bit is, let's see if I can get some zoom action. All that hardware I can definitely use to start like mounting dash structure. It's got some studs here, got a stud here. I can all get this stuff mounted. So right now, dash is definitely probably 4 inches high. Don't even look at that, because that's like way too high. But I think the dash would be okay, because yeah, like I said, the width, we're looking pretty good here. Swing around to this other side. Listen to me drag my feet because my back hurts. But yeah, we'll fit between these frame rails pretty good to mount this dash up. I think it'd be pretty seamless. So there's a few ways I can go. Probably weld a flat tab, pick up those couple. Depends on how far I needed to get back. One of the big thing is, the whole reason of doing this is to keep the Corvette amenities. So I need to keep this heater box. Yeah, there's the squirrel cage blower. I need to keep that heater box. So I'm thinking that part of the dash will get cut out completely. New center console that'll swing up to there. Probably keep the top radio bezel. At the bottom, I think there used to be a radio there too. I don't know. But yeah, we'll do a center console that swings up from here into that, so we can cut out this bottom piece of metal, so we can suck it back a little farther. And then yeah, the steering column over here. The steering column's wider than the Corvette or the Mustang one, so it won't drop down as easy. But these are all little things that'll get sorted out as we go. But yeah, happy the dash fits. Cowl does not so far, but we'll get there.